Hey guys, this is Rudy for Bester Investor. I have my espresso ready, and it's one of those days, remember, for the people who've been watching my channel, one Maserati, two Maserati, three Maseratis on a day like today. You know what? Sometimes I lose a hubcap or two. Sometimes I lose a car or two. Today is one of those days where energy investors are going like, what the heck is going on here? So let's quickly, let's take a look and see what is actually going on here. So just bear with me for a second here. Let me open some news and some websites that we can quickly look at and see if we can make heads or tails of what is going on. So let me first just take a sip so I get some energy. Cheers. Probably need a vodka or something, but I'll stick with the espresso for now. Market Watch says oil prices post a modest gain as traders eye the Iran nuclear talks. I have no faith in the mainstream media at all. So I don't even know if I should make anything of this headline, but I've already shared it. So now kind of teed it up for myself. So now I have to kind of stay in it, right? WTI, Brent, crude up for 3 sessions in a row. WTI and Brent are up for 3 sessions in a row. Then why do our stocks just keep tanking? World futures posted modest gain on Tuesday with US prices holding grounds at their highest in about a week as traders kept an eye on developments. So I'm not going to read the article to you. I just want to remind you, as I've said many, many times before, the largest oil traders on the planet are not necessarily companies like BP, Royal Dutch Shell, ExxonMobil, Shell, etc. They are actually more companies like Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, etc. So the traders are just trading. Don't get too stressed about it. Energy prices are going up, demand is going up, and things are generally good. So screw that. Let's go on to the next one. Yahoo Finance. Let's see what's going on here. So all the indices were red today. Wow, even the Russell 2000, the index of small little companies, 2004 companies was green. Crude oil, $66. This is WTI. Pretty good, huh? $66 for the people who invested in Occidental. Remember, Vicky said that the break-even is around the mid-30s. Well, the price is in the mid-60s. That's $30 per barrel, and they're drilling 1.2, 1.1 million barrels per day. Not bad, huh? What else is going on here? Bitcoin, $37,000. You guys invested in Bitcoin? You should tell me about it. Maybe you should especially tell me why you invested in Bitcoin if you are. Anyway, I'm interested to hear sort of what the thesis is there anyway. But if you are invested in Bitcoin, good luck. What's happening with the market sectors? Well, for the past week or so, we've been beaten up, which is really interesting because, as I just said, Brent and WTI have just posted 3 days of gains. But over the past week or so, energy is down 2% collectively. So even though you're down on all your favorite stocks, whatever that might be, Exxon and Chevron and Occidental and all that kind of stuff, the commodity price of the thing that they're selling, which is what they make their money on, is actually going up. Not too bad. What I want to share with you today, just briefly here, I want to tell you about Joselito. So Joselito mentioned to me in a comment a few days ago, he said, any thoughts? He asked me a question, any thoughts on Tell? And I replied and I said, I don't know anything about Tell, what's going on? So he gave me a few highlights here. It's interesting, founded by Sharif Suki, who founded Cheniere. Plans to build liquid gas plant on the Gulf of Mexico. It's actually in Louisiana. Fell from $6 pre-COVID to $2.50 right now. Management claims to get $5 to $7 free cash flow in 5 years. Interesting stuff. So we had some discussion about this here. So in addition to Joselito, Bulldog said, I'm interested in Tell as well. Suki started Cheniere in the 90s, betting on the LNG boom, made a fortune. Then he was forced out by his own board of directors in a discussion with ICANN. Some of you will know the history about ICANN and Cheniere. And then maybe you would also therefore know the history of Suki. Anyway, I did take a look at Tell, Tell, and I said to Joselito, it's got a lot of moving parts. High risk, high return, maybe. I'm not too sure, but let's talk about the company for just a second. This is Tellurian. I can't even say it with a shot of espresso. Tellurian. Tell on the NASDAQ. $3. So usually what I do is I look at the sort of snapshot of the company here. This is the summary. Put trading in a $3 range, kind of sitting in the middle of its 52-week range, which was 70 cents and a high of $4.39. Very volatile. It's a $1 billion company, so by no means is it a small cap, even though it would be classified as small cap growth stock. No dividend, beta 2.4. That's how volatile it is in comparison with the rest of the market. High short interest, almost 12%. This is the stock compared to its 50-day moving average. The moving average 50-day is the blue line over here, the stock, the green line. That looks pretty good. Now, the place I usually go to on the site is the valuation tab. There's a lot of interesting information here, so let's go through them very quickly. So look at the valuation. It says, because earnings for Tell are not available, the price to sales and price to book ratios are the most appropriate valuation. Price to sales, the little gray block is Tell, and the little line is the industry average. You can see sort of Tell is above in terms of price to sales, TTM trailing 12 months in the most recent quarter, price to book. What's the conclusion here? Tell seems highly valued with a price to sales ratio of 32 and one of the highest in oil, gas, and consumable fuels industry, which is supported by a price to book of 6, which is also the highest in the industry. Okay, so it's highly valued. How about the profitability? Not bad on gross margin. It's sort of there or thereabouts in terms of matching the industry, but then it tanks in terms of operating profit margin and net profit margin. So when we look at the company, it says while its profitability is in line with the industry median on a gross margin basis, its bottom line, the net margin, is amongst the oil, gas, and consumable fuel industries worst. I don't pay dividends, so I don't need to go there. Let's look at the growth rates. Tellurian saw earnings decline in spite of positive earnings growth during the past 12 months. However, this performance was on par with a typical company in the oil and gas industry. So on an earnings per share growth, most recent quarter, MRQ, falls way short. On earnings per share growth, trailing 12 months, it outperforms the rest of the industry. Revenue growth for the most recent quarter is sort of there or thereabouts. Revenue growth on a trailing 12-month basis way above the industry. So it's not a bad picture at all on growth rates. What about effectiveness? So this sort of as a snapshot, you can see right here, looks terrible. But there's a lot of news in the sort of hidden in the backstory. So you can't just look at these things and then make a decision and say, this is why I'm going to invest or not. So if you look at the return on equity, return on assets, investment, etc., Tell is way, way, way in terms of its underperformance, way underperforming the rest of its peers. It's very inefficient in comparison with its peers with regards to return on assets, employees, return on equity, etc., etc., etc. Average performance managing their resources. The company is among the worst at managing owner's equity or generating revenues from employees compared to its peers. How about its financial strength? Its debt to capital ratio, this is a critical one for me. I always look at debt. 14% is actually quite low. Sort of in line with the oil and gas industry's norm, it's actually very low. Company may have difficulty making interest payments. Its interest rate coverage ratio of 3.33 is amongst the highest in the industry, but shows that earnings from day-to-day activities are too small to service the debt. So it needs the change in terms of the site that it's looking to develop in Louisiana. If they get the funding for that and Total doesn't pull out, and you can read the backstory on this, on Seeking Alpha or whatever, it then you can sort of decide whether this is worth taking a gamble or not. Now, to be fair, I started this presentation and I talked a little bit about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an absolute gamble. There's no underlying fundamentals. I don't dispute the fact that Bitcoin has some utility in terms of value. In fact, specifically to that point, I much more prefer Ethereum and Ripple compared to Bitcoin from an investor point of view, because Ethereum actually has utility because you can use it for dated contracts and such like. And Ripple has utility as well in terms of money movement. So I like those two sort of cryptocurrencies. They're not currencies at all. They're just things that you can invest in or not. So when you look at the stock in this particular instance, we look at Tellurian. Am I saying it correctly? Joselito, maybe you can help me out here. When you look at the stock, you got to say to yourself, like, would I gamble on this one, yes or no? So as a general rule, I wouldn't, because it doesn't fit my investment thesis at all. By now, if you've been following my channel, you know which energy stocks I hold. The big ones for me include Occidental and Energy Transfer, which are sort of somewhat speculative. Then I have my steady eddies, Envima Pipelines and Enbridge and Total. So those are sort of my larger positions. I do have smaller positions in a number of small cap and smaller energy corporations, mostly uranium there. I'm invested in Energy Fuels, Paladin, which is a miner, a uranium miner. I have GoviEx, which is a Canadian miner. Paladin is Australian. So I am willing from time to time to speculate. So how would I play Tellurian if I was going to play in this sandbox at all? So guys, this is basically what I would do. Firstly, you need to make a decision. Are you going to be in this or not? For me, I'd probably say I wouldn't be in this stock at all. What I might do is say, okay, look, it's trading at like $2 or thereabout. You could say, okay, you know what? I'll put in a buy order at $2 or $2.25, maybe $2.25, for no reason other than as a gamble. And you say, like, okay, you know what? I put in a buy order, 10,000 shares at $2.25. So I invest $22,500 in Tellurian. If it skyrockets, that's fantastic. And if it tanks, my losses are capped at $22,500. That would be an example, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what the number is. You can say I'm going to buy 1,000 shares to $2,000, whatever. It doesn't matter how you play it, but typically what I would do in this kind of situation, if I was in a gambling mood, which I'm not, because there was no liquor in my espresso. It was just coffee, I think. I didn't make it. But if I was going to gamble, I would say, like, okay, you know what? I'll put in a buy order at like $2.25. If it fills, it fills. And if it doesn't fill, I don't care. This is typically not something I would invest in. It's not the kind of play I make. But then, you also have to take into consideration that my investments have to be age appropriate. And there's a really good chance I'm much older than most of the people watching this video right now. So do I need a high risk venture here in order to get the growth? I'm not sure, and then you could say, what are the odds in terms of getting a two-bagger? So like Tellurian goes from a $2.25 to $4.50 or $5 or whatever the case might be. How does that compare to the odds of Occidental going from $25 to $50, or whatever? So a lot of factors come into play here. So I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I'm just not sort of in a gambling mood. And maybe I'm just not in a gambling mood today, because today all my stocks are red. If all my stocks were green, I might have said, like, maybe I'll put in a buying order at $2.50, So but anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on Tellurian. So Joselito and Bulldogs, that's what I think about this one. But feel free to educate me, because you guys are the smart ones. So what I'll do is I'll kind of end it on that note and say, if you feel there's a compelling reason for me to put some money down, Let me know what the compelling reason is. I get the fact that they have a good CEO, which has a track record, which is probably a little bit tarnished by the fact that he was pushed out by his board of directors. I get the fact that they could generate a lot of free cash flow, and I get the fact that there's a potential good deal coming up if they can raise enough financing by or before the end of June in order to get their plant up and running in Louisiana. Anyway, if this is of interest to you, let me know what you think. If it's not of interest to you, then that's okay. You can still tell me what you think about Bitcoin and all the others we talked about. So on that happy note, guys, this is Rudy for Best Investor signing off. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.